This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code SOCRATES at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenro radio playlist. zenroclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Pornian Bakery. If you're located in the Pornian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Pornian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great. You know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself, definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. All right, cool. All right, let me ask something before we jump into specific topics, because I'm actually really curious about this one. Because, like you said, like, oh, let's keep it short, and I have something to do today. But I'm wondering, how often do you get a blood test now versus like when you were a kid? So, like, let's go with a kid first. How often do you get a blood test?
As a kid, I didn't really get a blood test, I don't think.
Thank you. Okay, cool. All right, so we're in the same boat. So me and Tara are now, I'm just like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to like be more healthy and like, you know, you're an ND. So like, let me just, you know, utilize your health capabilities, right? So she's like, all right, cool. So we've optimized my like diet and like, you know, lifestyle with the whole sleep apnea thing. But then she likes to check it just to get like a blood test, right? She's like, yeah, just go get a blood test. So like I have to go get a blood test rec. It's like so complicated. You have to get like a rec, and then after the rec you have to get the test. I'm like, oh my God, it's like so many steps. And I was like, yeah, I feel like, because like, you know, I'm afraid of needles, but I was like, okay, I guess this is just part of the health journey. And then she's like, no, that's a part of being like an adult. Like, it's just what everyone does. I'm like, I don't think so. And she's like, yeah, like blood tests are so normal. I'm like, I'm telling you, like first generation kids, we never got a blood test. Like my first blood test was when I was like 35, 36, something like that. Right. And then she's like, oh, that's crazy. Right. And then, but I'm like, I'm pretty sure like that's just more of a, if you've been here for multiple generations kind of thing. Cause like your family knows about that and like, I don't know, like relies on that, you know, kind of thing.
Sure.
And then like you saying no, because I remember like being a kid and then people were like getting blood tests, like other like Westerner kids, right? They're like, oh, I got a blood test. I'm like, oh, there must be something wrong with you. No, I always associated, right? Thank you. I always associated a blood test with something being wrong, you know?
Yeah.
And then like even now, like my dad will get a blood test, right? And then she's like, yeah, see, he's like getting a blood test, but like no, there's something wrong with him. So like they're just checking the levels, you know, but like I feel like if there's nothing wrong, why am I getting a blood test? So that's why I'm like so hesitant to get one, because like aside from being afraid of needles, although like if you use the numbing cream, I didn't feel it at all. Like Tara was watching my facial reaction and like they were like, oh, it's over. She's like, oh, you didn't even notice they put it in. So like that's a great hack, you know, using numbing cream. And I remember like leaving it. I was the first time I was like, oh, I could do that like more often. But then it's been like a year and a half since I said I was going to do it again, and now I'm like, oh crap, I gotta go do it again. You know, like it's like riding the roller coaster type thing, right? But when you're older, like when was the last time you had a blood test?
When my
Like in your older age, I guess. Like, yeah. Or actually, when was your first blood test?
well, the one I can remember, I don't know, I don't remember the other ones, I guess, if there were any. But the only one I could remember was when I first, well, I think it was the first time I got it, was like the whole vitamin D like level check and everything. And that was the first, because I remember it as like, oh, there's a lot of blood just gushing out. Like when they first did it,
No,
I was like,
I don't look, bro. I'm not trying
yeah.
to look
Oh,
at that.
so
That's crazy.
I looked at it, right, because I was just curious how does this work, and it was just
Yeah.
like crazy how much was just coming out, and it was quickly filling up a vial that they had to switch to another vial. Like how quick, like
Oh, damn, really,
how
eh?
how quickly that is. I was surprised.
Yeah, well, I guess like when you do like knife fighting and stuff, they're like, if you hit the artery here, they're gonna bleed out and die, you know? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
how
It makes
fast is that
sense.
really? You
It's
know what I mean?
really
Like, and then you
fast.
see that, you're like, oh yeah, you could probably die from that, you know?
Yeah.
Because like it is a main vein that they're tapping into, but like, yeah, it was so quick. Like when they did it, and then she's like, it's over. I was like, what? That was so fast.
hmm
I thought it was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna wait there and like, cause like you see people like give blood too, and you're like, why would you do that, bro? That's crazy. Like, unless you have
Yeah, yeah,
some sort of like attachment towards giving blood, like, oh, I was in an accident, so I want to give back type thing. But like aside from that, I just don't know why people get a blood test. But were you getting a blood test just to check, or was it like, oh, there's something weird, let me just check?
yeah. Yeah, it was just because of the
Like there's
vitamin
something
D
weird.
lows. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they
No, no, but
wanted.
like, did you know that you had low? Because like the only way you'd
Well,
know is
yeah,
if
no, no,
you
it was
had.
because of something. Let's check it, see what your levels are at. That's the reason. It was
Oh,
not
oh,
like.
like no, no, I see what you're saying. It's like a hypothesis. Like Tara's like when she's like doing like doctor things, she's like, oh, this seems like this could be this. Let's just make sure that it's not
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So it was something. Like there
yeah,
was
yeah,
something
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay, cool. So after that, well, actually, what did you feel when you got your blood test? Did it hurt? You know?
No, I don't think so. Well, I'm okay with needles, right?
I don't understand how like people are like, oh, you have like tattoos and like, oh, you get like beat up, and you're like, but it's a different kind of pain. It's also like psychological pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but I guess like, all right, so I messed up on the numbing cream type. I used my tattoo numbing cream when I was getting the tetanus shot, and but I also used that for the COVID shot, and I was like, why didn't it work? But like, it wasn't like pain. It was like a shock. It was like, oh, it's in. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like, ow. It's more
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
oh crap. You know. But like, was it like that for you, or because Tara was like, "Oh, it's just you ever have a bee sting?" I'm like, "Why would you equate it to a bee sting? A bee sting sounds terrible." You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
we were like, "It's just like a bee sting or an ant bite." You're like, "Why would I let a bee sting me or an ant bite me?" Makes
exactly.
no sense.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
Like related to something that would be normal. You know?
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so like, I'm like, no, I haven't had it. But like, what for you? Was it like pain? Do you remember it like being painful? Everyone listening to this is like, dude, we have blood tests all the time. Like all Westerners, but all like the not like I'm telling you, first generation people just don't do this unless there's
Mm-hmm.
something wrong. But
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Um. No, I don't remember it being painful.
Okay. Yeah, your brother said that too. He's like, he didn't even notice it go in. And Tara said that too. She's like, because she had to do a lot of that for school, and she's like, injections hurt way more because they're pushing something into your body. So like it's like sore, as they're like
All right.
you're like literally tearing
Sure,
muscle as you
sure.
like
Yeah,
put
yeah, yeah.
in like fluid. But for this one, it's more like it just has to break the skin so that it can get to the blood vein. So
Mm-hmm.
like it hurts less.
Yeah.
But like still freaky. So okay, after that one, have you ever gotten a blood test where you're just like, oh, I'm gonna get this out of curiosity? No, right? It's always
No.
something,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? Okay, so I want to get that on record because I'm like, I'm telling you, Tara, like nobody does this. It's like it's so normal. Everyone just checks their levels. I'm like, who does this? Like maybe like Westerners, but like I'm telling you, first generation kids do not do this. Like I bet you if I asked Wob or like Sid or like maybe Jared does it. I don't know. But like, because like, more generations down the line. But like if your parents just landed from a different country, like if they're immigrants, I don't think they know that like maybe they're like it's because in their country they also don't do it unless there's a problem because you have to pay for it, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not like healthcare's free.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe if you've been here for multiple generations, you're like, well, just do it, it's free, just like check. They literally just like will write you every year. You can get like one free one, but like who does that?
Mm-hmm.
So like it's just interesting to hear that you also have experienced the same thing where it's like, unless there's something wrong, why am I going to check it? You know?
Yeah.
But maybe that's the thing about like preventative
Sure.
care. Like you do it so because that's her point. She's like, well, let's just like see it and just monitor it. I'm like, yeah, but it was good last time. So why like I actually am better from last time. And she's like, yeah, I know, but like just so we can track it. I'm like, okay. But maybe that's like also why you have a specific doctor, a family doctor who can track that for you. So like
Mm-hmm.
look at the levels over time, like, oh, this. Because I don't have a family doctor now.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe that is why. I don't know. I'm just like weirded out by the whole thing of like why it makes sense why you got to check it, like
Yeah,
from
yeah,
her
yeah.
point of view. It's like, but also like who does that? You know?
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't disagree with her. She's right in that sense, but
Right. But she has the
she's not.
knowledge though. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I
Of course.
like if you don't have the knowledge, who are you gonna go to? You
Mhm.
know, maybe that's also the thing. It's like first generation kids are also like, well, who am I going to ask? Like, you can't read the levels.
Mhm.
You know, there's just a bunch of numbers on a page when you get the results back. Or like, I'm like, all right, what does it say?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, or there are like red flags. Like, it'll be like, this is a little high, this is a little, but it's like you don't even know what to do with that. So you're like, okay, this is high. What do I do?
Yeah. You'd have to go to a doctor to
Right? You
understand
know what I
what those
mean?
things are.
It's a
Yeah.
whole procedure. You're like, oh man, yeah. Because there's the reason why I bring it up too is like there's a new company called Ways to Well. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
No, all right. I've been seeing it on like I've been hearing it for a while from like Joe Rogan and like seeing it on Instagram and stuff. And basically they do a blood test and then they figure out your levels and then they give you like personalized IV packs to like fix those levels.
Mhm.
So like you go there and then they like fix you and stuff and like they give you like stem cells too to like heal your injuries. Like apparently I have a rotator cuff injury. So like my shoulder's been hurting like really bad recently. And then I was like I did this like one test here. I was like, oh, just lift your arm. And she's like, oh, it seems like you might have a rotator cuff injury. I'm like, oh, damn, like a tear. And then I Googled it and you can't heal it unless you get surgery. So I'm like, oh, no, don't want that. But
Mhm.
like that, like with stem cells now, because I was on their Instagram page, they'll like heal all these things without like surgery. Like, remember when we were kids and you're like hearing about the stem cells when you have a baby, like keep the placenta or like
Mhm.
what do you call that? The like tether cord thing,
Oh, umbilical
umbilical
cord.
cord.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember they were like, oh, that in the future you use that for stem cells for the baby and blah blah blah. And like, do you remember that like as a kid?
No, I don't remember it, but
Oh,
probably
really?
yeah. I don't think I remember that. No.
It was a big thing. Like I remember in like our grade six classroom, everyone's talking about it. You know, they're like, oh yeah, like the stem cells in the future, they'll like heal you like Wolverine type thing, right? And I was like, oh really? And then now, I don't know, 20 years later or something, there's literally procedures now where you can go and they'll give you stem cells and it'll like have you heard anything about stem cells, like what they do?
What they do, not specifically, but I've heard of that as
Okay,
of like
okay,
yeah, recent
so
stuff. Right.
a lot of UFC fighters will go to like Panama or like Mexico or like now Ways to Well does it, but like what they do is they shoot your body up with stem cells and stem cells are like what makes the baby grow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like, but the thing is that when we were kids, they're like, well, you're harvesting it from babies. So like, but I don't know if that's real.
Right.
So like
Right.
as a
Right.
kid, you're like making things up. You're like, oh, you're gonna kill babies to get some stem cells. You know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know. But like now they have stem cells and like because it's what is like a building block for a baby, if you shoot it into yourself, it'll literally like regrow the whole area that needs to like be fixed,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So like even with that, we're like, dude, we're in the future, bro. Like what? But why are we still why are we still stabbing ourselves with like needles and stuff if we're in the future? You know what I mean? Like I need something where it's like
Mm-hmm.
not invasive like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do you think that'll ever go away, or it's maybe like that's just something I do? You gotta puncture the. I mean, the best you could do is like numbing cream for sure, but like,
No, I think it.
you know,
There are. I think technologies going towards figuring out ways to do it without using a needle. Yeah.
like why can't I use a patch? You know what I mean? So like absorbs through the skin. Like why? Why do we have to break skin every single time? You know?
Well, yeah. It just depends on what it is, I guess, and how we can administer that into the body, right? Not necessarily. It's like the science behind it, like what specific things in the patch, like why does it's like some things have a patch, right?
Oh, I see what
Uh,
you're saying. Like maybe the molecule doesn't penetrate the skin as easily for that vaccine.
yeah, yeah. I don't know the science behind it, but there's that's
Yeah.
probably what they're trying to figure out, like which ways or different ways of doing it without using a needle, because they do know that a lot of people don't go in just even for getting a needle or things like that. Like there's some even like people like societal concerns about that kind of thing. So in order to
Mm.
get everyone to get immunized or whatever it may be, they're trying to find ways that are non like without using a needle. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That sounds like some one world government type stuff, right? Because you're like, well, if we figure out a way that nobody can complain about it, we can just give them all exactly what, you know,
Right.
we need to give them.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if in the future it's like maybe you just get something installed, you know, and then like oh because it makes no sense if we're just like chemical beings. Oh, here's another thing. So I saw this Instagram like is an ad. They were selling like this focus gum, and they're like, oh, all these like billionaires, they all use this great hack, right? It's L-theanine, right? And they were selling it on Shark Tank. So I like sent it to her. I'm like, is this real? And she's like, no, yeah, I prescribe L-theanine, but it's not like a focus thing. It's more like anti-anxiety, right? So I was like, oh, let me try it, you know? So we went yesterday and we bought it, and I tried it and I was like, oh, it works. Like it's like, but then it's like, is it placebo? I don't really know. But it felt like I had a modulator. Like I'm always like anxious. That's why I like to do a lot of things. I have a lot of energy, right? But it was almost like there was a cap. Where it was like I was like getting too excited and just capped it. And I was like, oh, I can't get past this point anymore, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But I don't know if that was placebo, but I tried it again today, like this morning. I'm like excited, but I'm not scared. Like, I'm not anxious, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it is working. But then I was like, if we have all these little drugs that we could just do, like Tara was like naming off all these other ones that like, yeah, you could just like orally take this or like this. I'm like, wait, if they're just mood enhancers, like, why don't we just all take them? Or like, how you have like the ways to wealth thing, you have this individualized hack that just like is meant for you, like, oh, your vitamin D levels are this, your B12's this, so we'll just optimize it, Like,
Mm-hmm.
what if
Mm-hmm.
we had like a pack in the back of our heads that like, what I mean? Just like, oh, I'm feeling a little sad today. It's kind of like
Right.
Black Mirror. Have you seen that episode?
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, okay, okay. They kind of do that for the person. They have something sort of like that where it's on their iPhone app and like, I want you to feel more of this. So they'll like increase it. But it seems like that's where we're heading.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, especially with, because I was listening to a lot of like alien stuff and they're like, the aliens that we see, if there are so many aliens in the universe, they're artificial intelligence. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Why would you say that? And they're like, it's because the as you progress, you realize the limitations of the human body and you automatically go artificial. Like we all do it. Like pacemakers and like stents. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, like you lose a leg, you'll like change it out. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
Yeah.
like maybe in the future we'll be like half robot.
Mm-hmm.
Would you I guess we talked about this before, but like it sounds pretty appealing, no? Or no?
Mm, yeah, I would say so.
Right? What if they're like, hey, you could just transfer your consciousness into this meat vehicle and we'll just modulate everything. Like you won't feel pain, you won't, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it's like the whole point of the experience is to have some sadness or like some anxiety, some like, like maybe if it was all too good, it's like, what would the point be?
Well, yeah, that'll be the lessons like to learn. I guess you know what I mean. Like
Mm,
we're gonna keep doing things. We don't know the exact end result of certain things, right? Or like
yeah,
what,
yeah, yeah.
like the whole idea of social media is to keep your friends, but now it's much more than that,
Mm,
right?
true,
It
true, true.
it grew into so much more than that. So now it could be an altruistic reason, like the whole the chip in the brain. Oh, it's gonna help paraplegic people and things like that. But we don't know the exact end result of what that can entail.
True, true. It's like, what if you like lose your humanity?
Mm-hmm.
I've heard this, but like, all right, this sounds like a storyline of a sci-fi movie. But what they're saying is that potentially with the UAP thing, like they might these aliens might have lost their humanity, and that's what's so appealing about us because they went to cyborg with it, and then they lost something, and like our dramas are what they're like
Yeah, but then I don't know if
talking
that
about.
makes sense though to me. Um, that means they do have some kind of emotion to understand the drama
Oh yeah,
that we
that's true.
have.
Yeah, you're right. You're
That
right. Because
doesn't
then
make
they're
sense.
like, oh, that's true. Actually, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. Or like one thing I heard is like they're harvesting emotions. I'm like, what does that even mean, bro? Like sure, take my emotions. Like take all my anxiety away, bro. Like you can have it. It's like it's weird.
Right.
But maybe that is like the beauty of life. I guess like the up and down, the
Sure.
roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Or maybe that's just like a privileged way to think. Some dudes in like Iraq right now, or like Africa or something, and they're just like, what the hell are you talking about, man? I would trade everything for what you have in a
Sure.
second. You know what I mean? Like first world problems type
Mm-hmm.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like injection, what? That's like nothing. Look at this finger, it's gone. You know? Like
Yeah,
that'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
crazy. You're like, oh my God, no.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So before we jump into Mark Carney, you like kind of not really related to this, but like you know what's really interesting too? Religion. I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been, but like in a way that's so controlling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, wait, no, how do I put this? You know how there's like, you know, there's like being Jewish, right? You're like, oh, I'm Jewish, but like cultural, right? And there's like, I'm Jewish, I believe in the faith.
Mm-hmm.
You know the two types, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I'm just like Jewish. I don't practice. I'm just Jewish.
yeah.
So like, being Catholic is kind of the same thing. It's like it's kind of born into you when you're like Filipino. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what you're doing. Oh, like Hindu, right? Like,
Not
you know
really.
what I'm saying? No, it's not. All right, explain yours.
No, because there isn't like anything dogmatic
In
in that
Hinduism?
sense. Yeah, I've never been taught like that.
Or like lighting candles type thing?
No, it's not like there's no like good or bad or like doing something wrong or right. There's nothing like that.
Or like no, but like dogma.
Yeah.
Praying. You don't pray? Like in Hinduism you don't pray?
So I've been watching a lot of these thing debates and things on TikTok, and I see there's a misconception because the word praying kind of is what's used, but it's not the same thing as in other religions. It's
Okay, interesting.
because it's not praying to someone or something. It's more of a veneration, or you're trying to get because each okay I can't if I use the word God because that's there's a different context to it, but they're not like gods as in like real beings. They're like personifications of certain ideals or things like that.
You're like the floor thing. You said something when we were like I think you said it on the podcast too, but you said it like as we were
Hmm.
growing up. Like you pray to the floor before you step on it, something like that.
It's not praying to the floor. It's a
Acknowledging the
respect.
floor.
It's a respect to the thing where it's like if you view as like the floor because you're stepping on something, right? That is something that you're um how do I say like if you view kicking something or touching something with your feet as a lower thing, right? So you're just
Yeah,
giving
yeah.
respect to it. Thanks for letting us like walk on you, right? Like step on you. But we need to do that anyways. We have in order to move, right? But we're just
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
giving a respect to the thing that is the ground that you
All right,
walk
would
on.
you say it's like acknowledging it?
It's acknowledging it, yeah.
Okay, fascinating. So that's actually
I would
very
say also like I wouldn't even use the word praying. It's more like veneration. Veneration is different than
Google
praying.
veneration. I don't know specifically
It's
what is
giving respect
veneration.
to. It's like giving respect to. It's not like for instance other religions you have to pray or else God's going to be mad. It's not nothing.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that.
Oh, it's not like an offering.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. Like Filipinos do this like it's called like mano, which literally means hand, and you like take the hand of an old person and you like put it in your
Mm-hmm.
forehead.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's not like I'm not like worshiping you. It's just like
Giving
I'm
respect to an elder
giving
or
respect. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for your teachings or whatever it may be. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That reminds me a lot of like the indigenous culture, bro. Because
Yeah.
like they'll do right. Because they'll do the exact same thing where it's like you'll like acknowledge something for being alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fascinating. So there was this we saw this bug in our basement, like in the laundry room, right?
Yeah.
And I Jared's like, oh, kill the bug, right? So I killed the bug, and it just came out. I just like I don't know why I did it, but I was just like I killed it, and I was like, death comes for us all, my friend, and today is just your day. And then I threw it
Mm-hmm.
in the trash. You know, it was almost like that. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
like I'm like acknowledging that I killed a living creature, bro.
Yeah. 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 Right.
It's like that type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
But there's different
Fast.
variations of it, right? Where there are I forgot what their name of it's called, but they're like they cover their face. They tried not to kill even bugs. Like there's
Oh,
an extreme
James.
level. Yeah, Janes. Yeah,
James. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, okay.
But they're all like shoots of like Hinduism is not the word is coming from a colonized word, right? It's not the
Yeah,
actual
yeah.
word, right? Sanatan Dharma is the actual thing. But that encompasses all things. Like even Buddhism would be considered that too. So even I would say indigenous cultures are the same
Yeah.
in that way.
Okay. It's almost like there are okay, this is gonna sound freaking crazy. But like it's almost like there are two paths, right? You have like the Abrahamic religions, which are like all about worship,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you have the indigenous style. Like I would say Hindu is like more or secular style, right? And it's all about like acknowledgement, right? There's like
Mm-hmm.
worship and then acknowledging things exist. Okay. So it's come out recently about like different types of aliens, right? So there's like the Nordics, right? And they look like basically tall white people. That's why they're called Nordics, because they look like Nordic people. And then you have the reptilians. And then people are always like, oh, there's this war between like reptilians and the Nordics are the good people, and then the reptilians are the bad ones. And then I heard recently, like an alternate opinion, where it's like the reptilians were here first. It's the Nordics that came to try and conquer this Earth. Again, it's not. I don't know if it's real or not. I'm just saying it's like this is the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
literature.
Sure.
And then, like through that, if you think about it, it's almost like colonization, and like that does kind of sound like what colonizers do. You know what I mean? Like if you're calling them Nordics and you're like, oh, they look like colonizers, and then you're giving me a story that sounds like colonization, I'm kind of like, is the Abrahamic religion based off? And a lot of people say this too, like Abrahamic religion is based off of like cargo cults. Like you're worshiping something, but it's like it's most likely just some sort of alien that came down and was like, I'm better than you. So you're like, oh my god, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like what do you think? It sounds crazy, but it's like okay, that's kind of like it does seem like there's only two paths here, like secularism or like nature-based religions, and then you have like Abrahamic worship style religions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything else outside of this? I mean, like I guess we worship Buddha, but like not really. Buddha was like, hey, just follow my paths, and I'm just gonna show you how to like live a more chill existence type thing. You know, like it's not,
Yeah, I mean,
you
it's
know,
not that the Buddha wanted to do that, right? He was just teaching his way. It's not like he wanted to become this level where people would, I don't know if they're praying to him, but like trying to be, put him on that level of pedestal. He was just a human that had
yeah,
certain sciences that he figured out.
yeah. Okay, okay. So that you'd put that as more like secular,
Sure.
right? Because there's no like we worshipped him, but it's not like he was like, hey, worship me.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, cool, cool. All right. So we've agreed that there is mainly two basic paths that you can take, which is like Abrahamic and like secularists, like nature based, like acknowledgement or worship. Okay, this brings me into what are you thinking? What's that?
Yeah, no, I'm thinking, you're saying two things. This is correct. But one seems like it's an outward thing, worshipping something, where a lot of the other things, even indigenous, is more focused on internal.
That's so true, bro. You're right, you're right. It's like either either God is within or God is without. Not without,
Right.
like external.
Yeah. Yeah.
God is external or internal.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Because once you've made God external, you have to keep seeking Him or them until you find it. But it's like God was within you the whole time, and they say that kind of
Mm-hmm.
in like even in the Abrahamic ones, they're like God's within you, and it's like, what do you mean? But why am I praying to you if He's within
But there,
me?
I
Why
think,
do I have to go to church?
yeah, some, I don't know. Some people believe that there's some misunderstandings of even Jesus' teachings, because he is saying God is within you, and a lot of these teachings are like meditation and these sort of things are all there, but it's been I don't want to say twisted, but like changed or whatever. The change your understanding is lost, and they were saying like that Jesus did go to like the monks
Yeah,
or
yeah, totally.
right,
Lost Years of Jesus, that
those
book.
lost years, yeah, to learn from when he came back. He was just too much of a mystic for them to understand what he
Yes.
was talking about.
No, no, for real, for real, for real. There's like there's the book called Lost Years of Jesus, and
Hmm.
what it turns out is if you switch the name, like we call him Jesus, right? But his name was actually Isa. So
Yeah.
if you look into like the scriptures, there's a whole history of Isa who went and like learned from Hinduism, learned from the monks, went to Egypt and came back, you know?
Hmm.
And like they actually have, so like after Jesus left wherever I don't remember, was it Jerusalem? Damn, I don't remember. Wherever he was
Where
born,
Bethlehem?
maybe.
I
So
don't know.
like,
Yeah. Okay.
damn,
Go
I'm
ahead.
Catholic and it's like I don't remember story. But like he was born and then he like he went away for when he was 12 he left and he came back at 33 and that's when he
Hmm.
did all of his like stuff. So it's like what happened between like 12 and 33. And the book was about that where it's like they're like chronologizing or like they're like writing
Yeah.
down his
The
story, you know?
travels. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So when we went to Egypt, there's this, it's like the Coptic
Hmm.
church
Hmm.
of Egypt or something. And we went on this tour, and the person's like, this is where Jesus stayed inside a church during the like lost years. He like went to church there and like learned from his mom. And then we saw like the house. So basically, there was like a little house that they lived in, and then they built a church on top of the house, and like that's where Jesus lived while he was in
Hmm.
Egypt, like learning
Hmm.
all these things, right? And like Jesus, like not Jesus, Egypt was an epicenter at the time. Like we knew
Hmm.
that there was a lot of trade. It was like the USA of its time, right? So like he went there and he like learned. And then you also know about things like the Silk Road
Hmm.
or the Salt Road, Silk Road. There's a path that you can take that goes straight, like it connects all of the main trading hubs all the way up to Egypt, and like you could literally walk it and you'll be
Right.
safe because it's like a trading route, you know? And they said that that's what Jesus, like him and his family, they like walked it. Anyways, he was like learning all these things. So like allegedly he learned like mysticism there, you know,
Hmm.
from the monks and like all the things and like these thought processes of like meditation and like he's saying things that it makes no sense with the context of that time. But like
Hmm.
looking back now, you're like, oh, it totally makes sense, you know, like just like God is within you and just
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then Constantine, when we went to Italy, they were like, we don't like the Catholics. Like the Romans
Hmm.
don't like the Catholics. You're like, what do you mean? And they're like, yeah, because we all know that the Catholics utilize Jesus for their like tactics, right? I was like, what? This is like literally the tour guide, and he was saying that Emperor Constantine was like losing the battle, and he's like, if I go with the Christians, the Catholics, like the Jesus followers, I'll have more soldiers, like
Hmm.
people to fight
Hmm.
with, right? And they
Right.
also promised him like forgiveness because he was like a God fearing person, right? Because at that time it was like the Roman gods, right? Like, do you know what Roman
Okay.
gods
Yeah.
are?
Yeah. 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 It's
They're
similar to
basically
Greek
the Greek.
gods.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
literally the Greek
Similar.
gods.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they just switched the name. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Nike
Yeah.
is Athena,
Yeah.
right? So like, yeah, so he switched sides because he was like losing a battle, and then he got all these like Christians on board and like whatever, whatever. So it technically was used and he like put the Bible together using like the pieces he felt, you know, it's like Constantine's Bible. So that all being said, I went to church again for like I hadn't been there in a while. I was doing like confirmation thing. And I was like, oh, let me just like listen to
Hmm.
what they're actually saying. So like okay, admittedly church is still boring no matter what you do. And I'm just like looking around like, why are we all here, bro? Like
Hmm.
it brought up so many memories of being like, okay, stay awake. I don't know what the guy's saying. Because like he has a thick accent. They always have a thick accent and they're just like saying gibberish. You're like, what are you saying? But like now I was trying to pay attention. Okay. So the whole act of confirmation is like you're going into the faith. Like you're being
Yeah.
indoctrinated into the faith,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so he read the first passage, and I was like, "Oh, this is a cult." The
Mhm.
reason why I say that is because, okay, wait. How would you describe a cult? Like they have a lot of similarities, but like, what is the one defining factor that you're like, oh, that's a cult and that's a religion?
Uh, I don't know. What would you say?
Like to me, it would be like I can't reach God unless it's through you,
Okay. So you're okay. Yeah.
right? Because like it's like, well, if God's all around me, like why do I need you?
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, because I'm a messenger of God. Wow,
Mhm.
this is so bad because like they just chose the new pope and stuff.
I
Like
was about to
that's
say.
terrible timing. Like, oh God. Anyways, yeah, like yeah, that's weird timing the way it lined up. But so that's how I kind of define it because it's like, oh, you have to give me money. Like if I'm worshiping you to get to something else, it's like why don't I just jump to the thing?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like when I was reading all those like spiritual texts, I was like, why am I going to read someone's interpretation? I'm just going to read the text itself
Mhm.
and then draw my own conclusions. You know? But they're like, oh, but you won't understand. You don't have the eyes to see, like, et cetera. And it's like, oh, you just make me too dependent on you. Okay. So the passage was, there is no way to God except through me. So you must worship me to get to God. And I
Mhm.
was like, hold on, Jesus. This sounds hella culty. Like, so I need you to get to like divinity, to get to heaven. I need you.
Mhm.
Why can't I just be a good person? It's like, but I need to believe in you. Okay. So that was my first tip off. I was like, okay, well, that's kind of weird. Let me hear what you're saying. Like, what else are you going to say? So remember, I said like confirmations about like indoctrinating you into the faith. Okay.
Right.
So they're like, stand up, initiates. I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm watching them all stand. They're like, look around the room. This is the community that you've decided to join. And what a beautiful community. Let's give them all a round of applause. And I'm like, oh, this is hella culty, bro. Like, these kids don't even know what the hell you're saying. Like, these kids are like 12, And they're like, wait, I've joined what? It's
Right. Right. Right.
kind of weird, right?
Mhm.
And then they said, now it is your duty to spread the fire of the Lord and
Mhm.
spread the truth of the faith
Mhm.
across the land. I can't wait to see what you guys do. And I was like, oh, this is freaking, like, do you guys hear him? Like,
Right.
sounds hella culty. You
Mhm.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
And also like, do you even know what you're getting into? You're like 12, bro.
Right.
Like the priest was like, he was like saying something, and they're like, the response is like, "Amen." Like, oh, do you believe in the Lord? Yes, but he wasn't happy with their yes, so he's like, "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you." Type thing,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
like, "Yes, I believe in the Lord." Like, I was like, "Oh my God, what are we doing right now?" Like, peace be with you and with you.
Mhm.
And you're just like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's a little weird.
Mhm.
But you know what's weird about it? I knew this as a child. I was always going. I was like, this is a little weird. Guys, a little weird. And nobody thought it was weird.
Mhm.
Nobody thinks it's weird right now.
Right. Yeah.
And you know what's even weirder? So it's almost like we follow these autopilot maneuvers.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're like, I'm just gonna do this thing because everyone else does it. You know what I mean? So I'm
Yeah.
looking around the room and I'm like, we're all bored and nobody wants to leave.
Mhm.
They're all just like, Amen. But I'm like, oh, there's no soul here, bro. You guys are
Mhm.
bored. And then I look at the priests. There's four of them, two deacons and two priests. The one deacon falling asleep. And I'm like, even you don't want to be here, bro. I literally looked at him like he's like that, like nodding off. And I was like, it's like, bro, you're at the front. Like you have to keep it together.
Yeah.
Like, but he's probably
Mhm.
like, no, he's watching me. No, he's watching me. You know what I mean? Like, God, I hate this so much. You know? And then and I was like, wow, there's no soul here. It's like it's empty. It's like dead. We're all just
Mhm.
following the procedures. Stand, kneel, pray, sing song until it's over. You know what I mean? And then I was like, all right, I'm watching this one priest because he's so fascinating.
Mhm.
Like you're like, oh, dude, this will entertain me. Like, when will you fall asleep, priest? And then the only time he kicked in, they gave him the mic, and they're like, "All right, it's your time to sing." And he kicked into high gear. This guy woke up. He's like, like I was like, "Oh, you wanted to be a singer, bro, but you couldn't be a singer." So you became a priest because somebody told you to become a priest. And then as soon as his song was done, he just sat down. He's like, try not to sleep again. And I'm like, oh, this is our lives, bro. This is this is a microcosm of the macrocosm of how we all live our lives on a daily basis. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
that is literally like asleep at the wheel, bro. You know? What do
Right.
you think? Oh, you think I'm crazy?
No, no, no. Yeah, there's something to it.
Right? Like, especially, and you know what's even funnier? So like JB was there, right? And he's like, kid was like, even my parents see like Wob at church, right? And they're like, oh yeah, like the kids are all so hard to tame. Even my cousins, so hard to tame at church. Like, oh, you have no discipline for your child. Like the priest will always say this, you have no discipline for your child. Like, you gotta rein him in. And I'm like, no, it's boring, bro. Like, we all knew it was boring. Why is the kid running around? He's like, why am I standing here? I can't even understand what you're saying. You know, you just gotta stand. Like that was the crazy part.
They
Being
should
a,
have a player room just for the kids, so
they
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 can.
do they do.
Oh.
They have like the kids part where they take all the children and make them go to the back. But like my parents were never with that. They were like, no, you're staying here because like you don't know what you're gonna do in the back, right? Like you hear some crazy stories of like the Catholic
Oh, okay.
church.
Oh, I
You know
got
what I mean?
you.
Like it's
Oh,
a little
yeah.
weird.
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. And then they also can't watch you. So like, what if I like disrupt things and they have to
Sure.
like deal with that? You know what I mean? Like that, all that kind of stuff. So like, I was never allowed to go. And it sounds like, you know, good parents don't allow their children to go, right? So like, because they want to like watch them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're literally sitting there listening to this guy drone on, and you can't even conceptualize what he's saying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you're 4 years old. Of course you're going to be running around like bending the books and like all that stuff. And then when like the priests will get upset, I'm like, but you're also celibate, bro. Like you don't have children yourself. So you don't understand that these kids are bored. Do you not remember being bored? You know what I mean? And it's like, but I believe in the faith. And it's just like, "Yeah, but they don't. Like they're literally four, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah. I don't know. I feel like that was the biggest wake up call for me. Like punk rock music, obviously, but then also like being like, why are we here
Mm-hmm.
every Sunday? Because I did that every Sunday until I was like 25, bro. And I hated it. You're just like,
Yeah,
And then I
yeah.
try to like use it as like meditation. I was like, all right, I'm gonna use this time to like think about what I have to do next week, or like I'm gonna discipline myself. But I'm like, why am I doing that? Like why am I like torturing myself internally to act
Mm-hmm.
like a good Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's the worship end, and then you have like, I don't know, the acknowledgement secular end. What about you? Like, because you went to temple too, but it wasn't like consistent, was it?
No.
It was just like for special occasions.
Yeah, special occasions or a Diwali event or something like that. There's no I would say for like specific events or a reason to, not necessarily
Okay.
because there's no, again, as I said, there's nothing like you have to do this every Sunday or you have to do like there's no like rule. It's whatever you want to do.
Hmm. Okay, so it's like come if you feel compelled to join.
Yeah, and but then a lot of these places are not like someone speaking or like something like a church. It's supposed to
Oh,
be technically these are like from what I'm understanding now is more like uh, meditation centers. It would be more like that.
oh,
You
that's
would,
interesting.
yeah, because you're also like venerating something, okay, or Krishna or whoever is there. There are statues, or they call them murtis, right? But it's just they were people, or they are like specific. So, for instance, some like even Ganesha, right? Like a famous one that everyone sees from Simpsons. He's not like a real person, right? It's not like a real being that you're praying to. It's just he
Yeah, yeah.
represents good beginnings. So if something is to happen in your life, you have a good job or a new job, you're just there to get in that meditation center to be like,
Ooh.
I want to have like a good beginning, or like you're having a new kid coming, like hopefully it's a good beginning of this newborn.
It's like aligning your intention.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
So
But like this,
that's why there's so many
yeah,
different things, because they're personifications of of reality, things in reality.
yeah, I see what you're saying. That's interesting.
Hmm.
I Have you ever heard of set and setting?
No.
No, okay. So when you do like psychedelics, there's a
Okay.
thing like if you do them correctly, like they're not supposed to be recreational, right?
Hmm.
Like there is an intention behind it, but it's called set and setting. So like set is like how much you do, and then the setting is like the environment.
Hmm.
Okay. So really, if you really think about it, meditation is like doing a psychedelic
Hmm.
because psychedelic literally means mind manifesting. You're trying to bring to light something that's internal that you want to bring out, you know? And like you can the reason why you do a psychedelic is because it's you have a hard time admitting it to yourself.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Because like a lot of people bury a lot of things, but like when you do a psychedelic, like a mind manifesting drug, it's like, but that's why they're dangerous. Because if you buried something super deep,
Right.
and then like that comes out, you're like, ooh, that's why people go through like psychosis, right? They're like, oh, I didn't expect to hate my life, you know,
Hmm.
or like,
Hmm.
oh, I hate my children, type thing, you know?
Yeah.
And like, but when you do meditation, you're the throttle.
Hmm.
If you don't like
Yeah.
that thought, you just stop meditating, you know, like whatever's, that's technically not meditation. Like the highest form of meditation is like no mind, but like on the way to no mind, you get like a lot of thought vomit. Okay. It's like if the end result is no mind, in order to achieve no mind, like a Zen state, you have to thought vomit until there's nothing left to vomit.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's literally that's why it's like they're like, oh, I meditated for like an hour or 2 hours. I'm like, wow, you have a lot going on in your head.
Hmm.
If you really need it, like people like meditators, like they get so upset at you, bro. Like you only did 5 minutes, like that's all I needed, bro. You know, like I
Yeah.
don't need 2 hours, right? But like if you tell me you meditate for 2 hours a day, I'm like, what demons are you hiding, bro?
Hmm.
Because you need the 2 hours to like really vomit that out, right?
Right.
So, anyways, so it sounds like that is like a drug trip in itself, going to a temple. And it's
Hmm.
like you could do that because like, why don't you do it at home? But it's like you need the setting,
Right.
you know, like you need the incense, you need
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
statue.
Hmm.
It like really draws you in, you know? I really think that like all of life is like a psychedelic experience, bro. But you just don't like see it that way. People
Hmm.
don't. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like going on like facing your fears is a very psychedelic experience.
Hmm.
Like yeah, like the gondola, I think I told you last week when it was like the wind was going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like all my like chemicals are going off because I'm like freaked. I'm so scared, right? But like
Yeah.
people are
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not scared at all. But I'm like, we're about to die. Like, you know what I mean? Like I could see that I could just die. You know, it's like you're facing death,
Sure.
you know? And it's like, can you control your like reaction in the
Hmm.
midst of facing death, right? And
Hmm.
that's like literally just a psychedelic experience, you know? And it's like we you don't need to do drugs if you can see it in every moment. Like you can go to a temple and have your own psychedelic experience, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
But maybe going back to it, maybe that's the beauty of life. It's like to be able to achieve these like transcendent states of like, oh, oh, like enlightenment is
Yeah.
just
Hmm.
constant enlightening moments. You're just like, oh, oh, dude, it's so interesting,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Right? And then an enlightened person is just somebody who's just been enlightened so many times. Like you're not like a spiritual person. You're just like, why do you sound so like you know so much? You know, like they're
Sure.
like an enlightened person, you know so much. But it's like, yeah, I've just really thought about it more than you've thought about it. So I've been constantly enlightened, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Whereas
Right.
like,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like we probably sound weird right now, you know? Like I remember when we were like at that view. I think I told you last week we were at that view, and then they're like, "Take your last moment." Like, what was your favorite moment of
Oh
the
yeah.
trip? I'm like, "This moment," right? And
Hmm.
they're like, "What?" And then like, well, because that moment's not real. This moment's real. So like, blah blah. And it's like, wow, what a weirdo. But it's like, no, that's just I've just pushed the boundary of enlightenments,
Hmm.
enlightening moments. You're like, oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. Oh, that's true. You know.
Yeah.
Just trying to dispel the mystery there, because like you know, Like I feel like maybe as a kid, like if you just look at the domino effects of it, maybe it's good to be brought up Catholic, so then you know what's fake. No offense to like Catholics. I'm like I'm like Catholic, right? So it's like no, but like really, like if you were a kid that was like, I'm bored, why am I coming to church?
Mm-hmm.
I also asked that question, little kid. And I
Mm-hmm.
just kept, but like, there's a moment where everyone's like, well, you do it because you got to do it. That's what my parents always said. You do it because you have to do it. I'm like, no, I don't. Well, I do. I have to do it now, but like, because you're watching over me. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't technically have to believe this thing. I'm just doing this thing because it's annoying.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then you see it, so many people just like fall in line with it. Like I went to a Catholic high school, and I was always like, this is so dumb. But like, then you see people just like being so pious. Like
Mm-hmm.
worshiping so hard. They got the rosaries on. They got the rosary tattoos. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh yeah. But then they'll go beat up another kid. Like I went to like a rough high school, and like when you go to church, they're like so pious. But then all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
you have any money for me? I'm like, what? I thought you
Right.
were pious, bro. You know what I mean? Like totally contradictory.
Mm-hmm.
But they do it because like you fall in line
Mm-hmm.
because you have to.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what makes our world sick, bro. Because then you're just like, why are you guys like this? You know what I mean? But then you have like people that are like, right? Like
Yeah. True.
that's
Mm-hmm.
like the NPC life, bro. I was at church. I'm looking at all the NPCs. Like, why am I here? Oh, I'm here because I have to. I promise that I have to be here. Okay, but I would never set foot in this place ever again unless I have to. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
whereas I'm looking around, these people are just like hymning, like singing the hymns. I'm like, this song sucks, bro. No, no, literally, it was like
Yeah.
Jesus is my music, and I was like, what the hell?
I mean, I remember going one time with you, or actually a couple
Yeah,
times, right? Even in one in the Philippines. But for me, it's always entertaining. For me, it's a
because you
di-
don't have to do it.
I
I had to
what?
do it every Sunday. It was like,
Yeah, yeah. You have a
damn it,
different
it's
experience.
Sunday.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, like we'd be playing outside. Remember how many times like we'd be playing outside, like, oh, this basketball game's getting lit, bro. Da, 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 da. And then my parents like, time for church. Oh, they'll be here when you get back. Okay, But how many games did I miss?
Right.
Right? Yeah, that was crazy. Do you remember that one time? I don't know if you remember this at all, but like this sticks out to me because we were all hanging out. We're having the best time ever. My aunt was over. We were having like a great time in my backyard, like
Mm.
hanging out. And then my aunt comes. She's like, "Sorry, boys, time for his church." And I was like, "Oh." And then she's like, "It's okay. You guys can play here until he's back." And I was like, "This is my house. I'm like, what? You guys are playing. And you guys play. You guys literally played." And I came back from church, and you guys
Oh,
are still in my
really?
backyard. No, I swear to God. And then like I came back, and I was like, "Man, that sucked."
Yeah.
But I'm like, "How come you guys don't have to do this? Why do I have to do this?" You
Right.
know what I mean? It's like when you force feed it, then like you're you just have this aversion. You never want to go back.
Mm.
But I'm hearing a lot of people now, like in the UAP space, like going back to Christianity. I'm like, why? But like when they explain it, it makes sense. It's like, yeah, like the devil. I heard the CIA dude, he said it, and he's like, the devil has a hold on everyone. Like there's a threshold limit where everyone will commit violence, right? And he's like, but that is the devil, right? Like, how much can the devil push you until you become violent? But God loves you and he wants you to stay a good person. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. We all, like, if you think of it scientifically, we all have a threshold where it's like, if you murder this person, I will murder you. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Oh, but the better thing to do is like forgive them, whatever, whatever, right? And I'm like, no, maybe that's just human nature. Like maybe there's no devil. Maybe it's just like that's the Taoist.
Yeah.
That's again like secularism and Taoism. It's like yin yang, bro. We have good and evil inside of us, and like that's just a part of life.
Mm-hmm.
If you push me too far, I'm gonna push back.
Yeah.
Whereas they're like, you know, if you get pushed too far, turn the other cheek, because that's what Jesus said. You know, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Again, mind control, like the culty mind control of it all, and then like the secularist Taoist perspective of it. Okay, I realize we have like a couple minutes left. All I want to say before we finish this is I think Canada won the game because we voted in Mark Carney. We were talking about this after the podcast, and I was like, oh, we
Mm-hmm.
didn't even talk about this. But yeah, like you think we're in a good space With like,
Oh yeah, I hope so. Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. Like, I didn't even know he had like a PhD in like economics. If the whole world, and then he was like hired in 2008 crisis, then he was hired by the British people, like the British finance or something, to help
Yeah.
them as well.
Their Bank of England. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, we are inarguably in a economic time, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and like, why would you not vote for an economist that has helped with a good track record? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah.
Whereas like America, like, what do you guys got? I don't know.
Mm.
It's weird.
I heard.
Yeah.
Was it yesterday? Like it literally is like every vote counted. There was a
Oh
very
wow.
close race in Quebec that just switched over now to Liberals. Um,
Wait, what? How is still voting? I don't get it.
no, it's because whenever it's like a very close race, there's a recount and then there's an additional recount or something like that. So there's two levels
Ooh.
of recounting, or two or three, I don't know. But after I think the last one, it was like by one vote, the Liberal won by one vote. Literally, just that's
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
That's interesting. That's interesting. But okay, so like we were saying last week after the podcast that like a lot of Americans that I follow are like, oh, it's the end of Canada. I'm like, what do you guys mean, bro? Like we have a PhD economist
Right.
in an economic crisis. Like
Mm-hmm.
we have a good spot, right? But then your brother's telling me he's like, well, it's not even. Like it's not all in one side. We're not all liberal, right? There's like a lot of division still, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we didn't win the majority or something, or like the liberals didn't win the majority or something
Or
like
they're
that.
close to, and they're probably negotiating with the other NDP candidates if they want to switch over to Liberal, then we would have a majority.
Okay. So with that, I actually do like the fact that we're in a minority because you have to work harder with your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was all a majority and like you're just passing things all willy nilly, it's like that also is weird because we need somebody to check what you're saying. At
Mm-hmm.
least the opposing party's like, oh, well, what about this? And then you have to negotiate sides. That makes sense to me. I think like I think that there's no best way to run a country, but I do think that Canada's on a good path to like of what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do you think so too, or like do you have a country where like, oh, this is the way to do it?
Not in my mind, no.
Yeah, like the 4 years thing, like not just the 4 years, but like leading up to it, and they can only have two terms. It's like that's weird because like Obama, like what if Obama was the best, and like why'd you like capped his limit, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas like Trudeau's been in there for like so long.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just with all
But
that being
he
said,
had a minority for I think most of it.
Trudeau,
Yeah.
which is good though, because it's like I like that you have to debate it, bro. Like if you just said like, oh, let's all go left, and then people are like, no, we should probably think about going right, and then you're like, screw you, I'm going left. It's like, like
But
I need both sides to have that.
even with that, votes do get split that way. But if you look at it like percentage wise, like majority of Canadians are left.
Liberal. Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah, because if you count the total votes like Liberal would get, or an NDP, or even a Green Party would get, if you put them, because they're all in the same left range, right? But
Oh yeah, like, yeah, facts.
Liberals are left center, right? While
Oh, I see what
conservatives,
you're saying.
there's only one conservative party, right? Which is right.
Oh, that's true, actually. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. That's true,
Mm-hmm.
because like the Green Party is like super left,
Yeah.
and like NDP is less super left, but still pretty left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. It's like if you technically count all
Yeah,
that.
if you
Yeah, that's
technically
true.
count all that.
That's true. And that's why I love Canada, bro. That's why
Mm-hmm.
I love Canada. Um, do you have like 2 last minutes? Because you were talking
Sure.
about a video game. Yeah. All right. So, oh damn, look at those balloons. Just happy that we became Canadian, or we're in Canada. So speaking of that, like with the conservatives and stuff, and like even you look at like the Republicans, Democrat type thing. You were showing me these two video games last week with it's like the Age of
Oh, yeah.
Barat.
Asia Bharat, yeah.
Yeah. And then there's like the Wukong game.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like Barath. is Terra Gaming, which is based in India, and then Wukong is Game Science Studio based in China. Right. What what I think is really fascinating is before you always had like think about like the biggest epic game as kids is Uncharted,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Like I don't know anything other than Uncharted that was so like epic. Like you traveled the world, like the game was so you know what I mean?
yeah,
Or like Spider-Man
yeah.
was also another one, you know, like a big open world. With these two,
Yeah.
it's almost like this is the signaling of a culture shift.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you know what I mean? Like when you talk about like make America great again, right? Like when when you were in power, the colonials, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like what
Sure.
what
What does that mean?
age, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And like when we were kids, it was like Uncharted was like the top game, and that was like a colonial perspective game, you know? Like you never saw like an Asian type game or like an Indian type game. And then now with these two, it's like and
Well,
them looking stellar. Oh, you could think of God of War? No,
no, no, no.
that's crazy.
The Uncharted did one. The miniseries of the or not miniseries,
Yeah,
but like
a mini series, like a bonus thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Where
No, no, but
but
it
that
was
was
his own. It was his own game, but it's in the world of Uncharted,
right,
and
right, right.
they were
But
teaching a lot of the Hindu stuff.
right, right, right. But like that was after how many games? Like four,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right? So like I think that what we're seeing, like yes, America did a great job of like Santa Monica Studios and like Mortal Kombat and like all that stuff. Like you really set the stage for like video games. And video games are culture. You know what I mean? Like it's just culture we're talking about here. And I feel like I know I've been saying like the end of the West. Like this kind of seems like the end of the West, but like bubble tea, the Barat gay, like the monkey movie. What was the Monkey Man movie or something?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like
Monkey
there's
Man.
all
Yeah.
these right? And everyone is going off about it. It's like I don't know, it's like it doesn't seem supremacist anymore. It doesn't seem like colonial. You know what I mean? It's like very much moving in a different direction. Like we had like a Asian Heritage Month yesterday, like all these vendors, and I was like look at all this innovation. You know, like I really think that there's like a shift. You feel it too?
Sure. Yeah.
Like we're in like a time of change. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like even China's becoming a huge economy. UAPs are like a thing. Like there's so much going on and like it's just beware. Not wary. Be like be aware of it.
That's
You know what I
happening.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. That's all I want to say.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
it's all good for in general. It's good for all of us,
No, I agree
right?
because it was so weighted in one side, right? It was like so like colonial for so long and
Of course. Yeah.
like even growing up as a kid, like you guys all made fun of me for like wanting to be white because I like in punk rock bands, you know what I mean? Like skater culture, like that's all white stuff, you know? And then now it's like turning in a different direction. Yeah, it's just fascinating to me. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully soon we become like this one amalgamated world where like it's not it's a mosaic,
Yeah.
you know, like Canada. It's not like a melting pot. I'm going on record, Canada's the shining star, bro. We are a mosaic, not a melting pot, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Right.
like in China and stuff and like Philippines, you only get one culture. India, one culture, but like bring them all to Canada, bro, and we get this beautiful array of, you know, diversity.
Yeah. Agreed.
Anyways, yeah. Sick. All right. Till next week. Yeah. Wish me luck on this blood test, bro.
Good.
All right. Take it easy, Vish. Oh, any
Peace.
final words?
No. Happy Mother's
Beautiful
Day.
time to be alive.
That's all.
Oh yeah, it's Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, all mothers out there.
Yeah.
All right. Daisy Dish.
Peace.
Bye. All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors: Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, Fish.
Peace.